So, when I made my grand return to YouTube almost like a year ago, I think, the first review I did was of Batman and Son, mostly because around that time, Batman Inc. Volume 2 launched, and I was pretty much planning on reviewing the whole Grant Morrison Batman run in, big series of videos. And that never really panned out because obviously the run just ended recently, so I pretty much deleted my old videos because I wasn't really pleased with them, and now I'm back to, basically review the entire Grant Morrison run of Batman, which I own in its entirety. Most of the main stuff that's actually written by Grant Morrison, not the tie-in stuff. So the first story arc he did was called Batman and Son. It's obviously written by Grant Morrison. It was drawn by Andy Kubert. It went from Batman issue 655 to 658, and it pretty much introduced Damian Wayne into, the modern Batman continuity. There was this graphic novel called Batman, Son of the Demon that came out during the 80s, I think, which involved Talia and Bruce having a son, but Bruce never got to meet the son because Talia told him he died. And this storyline, post Infinite Crisis, sort of reintroduced Son of the Demon back into the modern DC continuity. And the basic premise is pretty simple. Talia al Ghul is taking over for her father who died, who's dead, and she's basically the leader of the League of Assassins, and she kidnaps Kirk Langstrom's wife Francine so he can create the Man-Bat serum. So she can create an army of man-bats, man-bat ninjas and stuff, so she can take over Gibraltar because her father always described it as like the perfect military outpost. And in the process, Batman tries to stop her, and in the process he meets his son Damian. Now, Damian, a lot of people hated Damian originally, mostly because he's kind of an asshole. When he first came into the picture, he was a pretty big asshole, and I think that was intentional. I think you were supposed to really hate him and then grow to like him as time passed on, because the Damian we see here, he's similar to the Damian we got later on, but that Damian got a lot softer. He became more human and stuff, and he became much more likable. Whereas this Damian is just a complete unlikable douchebag, and you just want to kick the shit out of him. And Grant Morrison even stated that was his objective with Damian, in his first appearance, make him just an unlikable little prick, and he succeeds in that wonderfully. I mean, Damian is easily the most unlikable 10-year-old since... Actually, no, I was gonna say Joffrey from Game of Thrones, but Damian came first. Well, actually, Joffrey came first in the books, I think, but the books really didn't get like uber popular until the TV show. So yeah, Damian came before Joffrey as far as I'm concerned, and they're both just humongous dickheads when you first see them, and you really want to hate them. And I really can't say that much else about this particular storyline. It sets up the rest of his run, like the stuff with Jezebel Jet, the fact that he's pretty much lost touch with being Bruce Wayne, because this takes place after Infinite Crisis. And after Infinite Crisis, Bruce Wayne went on like vacation for a year, then he came back to Gotham, and he pretty much eliminated all super crime in the whole city. He basically cleaned up the whole town. But he spent so much time being Batman, he's forgotten how to be Bruce Wayne. And there are a lot of points early on in the story arc where he has the Batman voice as Bruce Wayne, and Alfred tries to keep reminding him to stop doing it. And I thought that all that stuff was pretty good. I thought Grant Morrison has a great grasp on all of the characters. Talia sounds like Talia, Tim Drake sounds like Tim Drake, Alfred sounds pretty funny. He has some really funny lines and stuff. Damian's interaction with his dad later on got really entertaining. You can see that they already started bonding a little bit. The scene where Batman yells at him about patience and stuff, and he just goes completely apeshit, was hilarious. And overall, I really don't have that much to say about this book. I mean, it's very well written, it's very well drawn, it sets up, the rest of the run, it introduces a lot of great ideas that are going to be paid off later, like the three ghosts of Batman, Joker kind of dying here, and then later on, rebuilding himself as a whole new persona. All that stuff's set up here, and all of its stuff's great. There's a lot of meta commentary on comic books, and this is something Grant Morrison does. He has characters say things or do things in their comic books that when you look at them, they're kind of like commentaries on modern comic books, and all that stuff is actually really, really great. And it's something you can only see when you read it multiple times. And I've read the story arc like 5 times, counting this one. I reread it for the review, and it keeps getting better and better each time I read it. I notice new things. I, just pick up new details all the time. And I think when a book can still have new things for you each time you reread it, even if you've read it like 5 times, and I think that's just a great accomplishment, and that shows just what a great story arc it is. My only real problems with this book are that the art can be kind of iffy sometimes. I really like Andy Kubert, but some of his designs don't always work with me. I really like Damian's original Robin suit. I think it's amazing, and I wish he kept that, with the black cloak, and he kind of looks like a mix of Robin and a ninja or something, and I thought that was all great. But Batman can look really iffy sometimes. Robin looked iffy. Talia looked really hit and miss. Like, when she was drawn up close, she looked great, but when she was drawn from a distance, she just didn't look that good. And that's pretty much my only problem with this book. That, and it's short, but I think the shortness, it took me like maybe 20 minutes to read this. And please note that I didn't read The Three Ghosts of Batman or The Clown at Midnight. I'm going to make entirely separate review videos for those. I only read the 4-issue main Batman and Son story. And so I'm not speaking for the whole trade, because the Batman and Son trade has Batman and Son, Three Ghosts of Batman, and The Clown at Midnight. I'm only reviewing Batman and Son now. And this took me like maybe between 20 and 30 minutes to read, but the readability here is so great. I think the shortness can kind of be excused. So yeah, I give Batman and Son an A-. I think it's a great starting point for Grant Morrison's run. Having read his entire run and going back to it, you can already see that he's planting stuff for later on, and all that stuff's really fascinating. And it's going to be really interesting for me to reread this going forward. And this is going to be probably the longest like consecutive review series I'm going to do. This is probably going to be like at least 10 videos at least, and it's going to be quite a daunting challenge, but I think I'm up for it. And I know that at least the first half of the run is really, really good. The later half got kind of iffy when I was reading it, but hopefully that improves as I reread the whole run. So yeah, Batman and Son, A-. I really have to recommend this if you're a fan of Batman, or if you want to sort of get into Batman. I think this is a great jumping on point. You really don't have to know anything about Batman except the fact that Tim Drake is Robin, and he now has a son called Damian Wayne with Talia al Ghul, and that Ra's al Ghul is dead. Those are pretty much the only things you have to know. Everything else is just a great jumping on point for people who really aren't that well versed in, Batman lore and stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys check this out. I think it's just pretty damn awesome, and I think this is something every Batman fan should at least read once.